John Stahl to the right. Hunter on the move, racing back. It's over his head. It's gone. It's into the bullpen. This game is tied. This game is tied. David Ortiz. David Ortiz. David Ortiz.
This is Red Sox Beat on CLNS Radio.
I think it would be a big statement if John Farrell started Travis Shaw on opening day, and I'd be totally cool with it, because I think it would. If that doesn't give Sandoval motivation to play better defense and play better, period, nothing will.
I think they're going to make Jeter that first unanimous vote, and I hate that about baseball writers. If you belong in the Hall of Fame, you get voted in the Hall of Fame.
Achievement or a new milestone. They don't just be like, yay, we signed this player, so we're going to have a ceremony. Like, no.
Now, to your hosts.
All right, Red Sox fans, Red Sox Beat, CLNS Radio. Of course, CLNS Radio, the leading online provider of audio and video coverage of New England professional sports. Of course, you can follow CLNS on social media, at CLNS Radio on Twitter. Search CLNS Fans on Facebook. Of course, don't forget to download the CLNS Radio free mobile podcast app for iOS and Android. Simply search CLNS Radio in your respective store on your iPhone, your tablets, your Android phone, whatever it may be. You'll find us. You can listen to all of our audio content there, all in one place, which is great. Of course, we're on Twitter at @RedSox_Beat. Facebook is Red Sox Beat Podcast. Jess Thomas, Lauren Campbell. Of course, I am Jared Scally here. Another week of Red Sox baseball. A good week for the Red Sox guys. And as much as the flu was going around, we talked about that crap last week. They're finally out of it. And they had a pretty productive week.
Yeah, it was a great week. It was a fun week. It was everything I wanted after they had this flu. I know the week before this one was frustrating because they were, like you said, riddled by that flu bug and couldn't really seem to get a groove. And now I kind of feel like they're getting into it. They're over this whole thing, and now they're going to start playing like how they should.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you get your players back who are actually good, and then you actually start hitting the ball. It's a wondrous thing. An 8-run game, a 7-run game, a couple 4s. So the offense seems to be back, and it was a good 5-2 week. Yeah,
and it's hard to. I mean, obviously, like we said, we didn't really want to gauge them after that first week because, like, everything happened, right? Bereavement leave, injuries, the flu. The team wasn't there, and there's still holes. There's obviously going to be holes. No team's perfect, but starting to slowly get back into health here. Xander Bogaerts is starting to play better. Mitch Moreland came out of nowhere this week, and Jess, why don't you started to do it there briefly. So recap the week. Let us know how they got to 5-2, and we'll get to the MVP. Who there's a bit of a debate this week because he actually had some pretty talented outings this week from a couple players.
Yeah, we'll start with Tuesday. Drew Pomeranz getting his first start of the year, and he dazzled in this game. It was an 8-1 Red Sox win. The offense was rolling. Pomeranz was rolling. He went 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. Very solid outing for Drew. He only threw 91 pitches in 6 innings, and that's been one of the biggest problems is that he hasn't been getting deep into games, and his pitch count's been through the roof. So to get through 6 innings, only 91 pitches was definitely encouraging to see. But the offense was definitely the other story in this game. Dustin Pedroia had 4 RBI of the 8, so he had a nice half of those with 2 hits. The first RBI he had was a sac fly in the 5th inning. And then after that, nobody scored until the 7th inning. That was in the 5th inning. It was 2-0 Red Sox. Baltimore got their 1 run. Jonathan Scope hit a fielder's choice. A run scored, and Pedroia was back at it in the 7th with a 2 RBI infield single. That was 4-1. Benintendi made it 5-1 with an RBI single. And then an inning later in the 8th, Vazquez got a 2 RBI triple to make it 7-1, and Pedroia got his 4th RBI single to make it 8-1. So that was good offense through and through. 3 runs in the 7th, 3 runs in the 8th. The bullpen for the O's was not good. Darren O'Day gave up 2 runs, 1 earned. Oliver Drake gave up 3 runs, all earned. And the first 3 went to Dylan Bundy. So I guess, Lauren, I'll have you talk about this one a little bit because you were there, and it was a great outing for Pomeranz and a great offensive performance from Pedroia.
Yeah, it was great, and it's funny, I was at the game when Chris Sale debuted, and I talked about how the atmosphere was just unreal, and everyone was so amped, and to think on Tuesday when I was there how different the atmosphere was. It was kind of like, oh no, Pomeranz is pitching. Great. Like, what are we going to get from him? But his first pitch was a strike. When he got the strikeouts, everyone started getting really into it, getting really loud. And, come that 8th inning, everyone was just loving it, going wild. And, Kimbrel was warming up. They were like, everyone was excited to see Kimbrel. Obviously, we didn't, because we didn't need to at that point. We didn't need him when the game's 8-1. You're not going to put your closer in. But this was overall such a fun game to be at. I mean, I don't think it beats Chris Sale's debut just because of how that one ended, but just completely fun. It was nice to see the offense come alive because I didn't really get that in the game before that I went to. So to see the offense come through, to see Pedroia get 4 RBI, to just really just see everyone kind of work together and look as if they're all 100% out there was just so much fun.
One thing about this game too, guys, and Lauren, you can speak to it, obviously seeing it firsthand, it's, Pomeranz looked comfortable. Obviously, they didn't push him too deep into the game just for being purposes of obviously being his first start back, but he looked super comfortable. His curveball was working for the most part, and he looked like a healthy Drew Pomeranz, hoping it continues, but a lot better than I think most people probably thought his first start would be, seeing what he was coming back from, and he obviously wasn't great last year either. So obviously it's only one start, but definitely a lot better than what we all thought it probably would have been.
Yeah, no, he absolutely looked comfortable. He looked confident. He looked like the pitcher that we want him and need him to be. We traded our top pitching prospect to get him, and then after the whole debacle of us being able to trade him back, we say no, and the injury and the stem cell, everything, and kind of having a not so good spring training, starting the season on the DL kind of thing. It was exactly how he needed to start his season to get his confidence started and to get it, something that he can build off of and not be the pitcher he was last year, but be the pitcher that he continues to be from that first start.
Be the pitcher that he was the first half of last year with the Padres.
Exactly.
The reason why we traded for him.
Exactly. The all-star Drew Pomeranz. So that was great to see. And then the bullpen, which has been quite a theme for this week and the whole season at this point, was locked down again. Hembry, Barnes, and Joe Kelly all had 1 inning apiece. Only 1 hit and 1 walk combined for the 3 of them. So that's great to see. And Christian Vasquez was 4 for 4 in this game and was hitting 1,000 at this point. I want to throw that in there too. The catchers have been doing very well. So that was the first game of the week. Always nice to beat the O's because it didn't happen the next night. And I can tell you firsthand from this one because I was there. And talk about atmosphere. Hard to have a good atmosphere in a ballpark when you're down 9-0 after 2.5 innings. So it was ugly from the start. Stephen Wright was awful. His knuckleball was nowhere to be found. It was either everything was a ball and every pitch that was in the strike zone was a home run, was pretty much all it was. There was basically no strikes that were not home runs in the entire game for him, which wasn't very long because he only lasted an inning and a third. So we'll jump into it here. He gave up 8 hits and 8 runs in an inning and a third. And you want to leave him out there because knuckleballers can turn it around so quickly as he's done so many times, as Wakefield did so many times. But he was just as bad the second inning, so they just couldn't leave him out there any longer. It started with a Manny Machado RBI ground rule double for the first run, and Mark Trumbo got a RBI single, and it was 2-0. That wasn't even the worst part. It started getting bad when Trey Mancini, who's a really good young player, hit a 3-run homer to deep right center. He blasted it. And then next pitch, in fact, Jonathan Scope hit a home run into the monster, and it was 6-0 before you could even blink your eyes. Literally, there was nobody in the ballpark. Everybody was late arriving, and it was already 6-0 by 7:15. So, sorry, folks, if you wanted to not miss any runs, you literally had to get there on time. And too bad for all of them, because they all missed. I mean, especially if they were Orioles fans, which the people in front of us were super nice people, but they got there after it was 9-0, and I was like, well, sorry, you basically missed everything. So, didn't feel bad for him, though, because you got to get there on time. You never know what's going to happen. So what happened in this one was the second inning, Adam Jones hit a home run, and then Chris Davis hit a home run, and all of a sudden it was 8-0, and they had to pull Wright because he gave up 4 home runs in an inning and a third. Kind of hard to leave the guy out there. So that was it for him. Ben Taylor came in. Trey Mancini hit another home run in the third inning. Then it was 9-0. And then Taylor settled down, which was nice. And the Red Sox came back after after Wright came out. In the third, Benintendi got a sac fly to make it 9-1, and then in the fourth, Bogaerts hit an RBI single, and Pablo Sandoval got a rare hit, 2-run homer into the monster. It was 9-4, and then 1 inning later, it was 9-5 when Bogaerts hit an RBI single, and the Red Sox guys had the bases loaded, down 9-5 with 1 out in the 5th inning. So just halfway through the game, when it was 9-0 before, 1 grand slam would have tied it, 1 base hit would have made it a 2-run game. Unfortunately, after Bogaerts got the hit, Sandoval and Young got out and couldn't get any more runs. But to go from 9-0 to 9-5 and a chance to tie, the offense did not give up in this one.
That's a spot too where we see Sandoval and go, come on, what are you doing? Like, that's a perfect opportunity for him to, like, redemption story, you know, hasn't been doing too well except for those few homers he has. That was a spot where I was hoping that he would kind of break out of it, get a big hit, big clutch factor, you know, that's what he's known for, at least in the playoffs. So, that's a moment where I think last year's offense would have potentially had 1 more hit in them to get closer. Not saying that this team is any that much worse than last year, but right now, that's what this offense is missing. I just think that clutchness that obviously David Ortiz took away from the lineup when he retired, but I think right now that's what you're missing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, when I was watching that game and they're in that position, I'm thinking this would be a perfect moment for David Ortiz to just step to the plate and just do what he's done so many times. And this is exactly where we're going to miss him and going to miss that big bat, and that's exactly where this offense needs to step up. But like you said, Jess, for them to be down 9-0 at one point and then to come back with a chance to tie it, and really once you're within 4 runs, you know, anything's possible. And just for them to, something clicked when they're still scoring all those runs. And I know it sucks that they didn't come back. It sucks they were down a lot so early, but they wouldn't give up. They kept fighting, but they are unfortunately missing that big bat of David Ortiz.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny though, because like the Red Sox lead the league in average, but obviously they didn't get a lot of big hits early in the first few games because they only scored in 1 inning in the first 4 games and all that. But like, there have been some clutch moments where they've scored late in games. There's been a lot of late game scoring, so there has been some clutch moments. There also haven't been like this one where they stranded the bases loaded, but I don't know. The offense seems to still be there. It just like depends on when they want to come out. They come out at random times. They're like, all right, 6-run inning, all right, 8-run inning, and then they're like 4 scoreless innings. It's kind of unpredictable at this point so far. Is kind of what I'm seeing.
It's the consistency that's lacking.
Right. You never know when they're gonna do that, even though they have the best average in the league. But you can have the best average in the league and still not be that good, because if you don't hit them at the right time, you might still not be that good. I mean, they're 8-5. That's so. Obviously, something's worked, but there's just been times where it hasn't worked also. So, but that's baseball. I mean, things happen.
I mean, do those peaks and valleys speak to just the lack, like there's a hole in that lineup? Like, are they not spacing it out the right way, or is there really just some hole that's not connecting the hot streaks to the cold streaks in terms of like, either whether it be David Ortiz or just that consistency?
I mean, I think I guess it's the consistency, because like you said, you know, we score a run in 1 inning, and we kind of the offense is all over the place, kind of. But Jess, I know you said we lead the league in average, but wasn't it last year that we led the league in runs scored or some weird stat like that, where it's kind of like, how do they do that when the inconsistency is there throughout the entire season, but you know we're leading in X amount of categories? So
I guess other teams are just more inconsistent.
yeah.
Baseball for you, right?
It is
Seriously.
baseball. The only way to really describe it is, I mean, it's still early in the season, so I think maybe they could be still not 100% from this flu, or trying to just find how they click with one another without David Ortiz. And, you know, there's some new players on that team, so kind of seeing where they fit too. And even Sandoval, he needs to figure out where he fits in that team.
But the other thing too is that, like, in several of these games, and we'll obviously get to them as we get deeper in the recap, when Chris Sale doesn't pitch, the pitching has kind of blown it early on before they settled in several games, and the offense has had to bail them out several times, and it's happened multiple times. So it's like they are making comebacks and coming back when the starters kind of put them in an early hole, which is good to see, obviously.
So we just put Chris Sale in every day?
Well, I don't
Might
know,
as well,
because
right?
the offense sucks. The offense hasn't scored anything when he's pitched. So, yeah, I mean, maybe they're better off getting down 4-0 every game, and then the offense keeps making comebacks because that's what's worked so far. But we'll see. So, yeah, this was a tough game. 12-5 loss. The O's got 3 more in the 7th inning. Fernando Abad and Joe Kelly. And then, but it was a pretty bad outing for Ubaldo Jimenez, who couldn't even get through 5. He went 4 1/3, giving up 5 runs. So, tough game overall. Split with the O's 1-1. It was a 2-game series because that brings us into Thursday, which is a makeup game with those pesky Pirates, who were not pesky in this series because it was a sweep. The Red Sox won on Thursday 4-3. They swept the Pirates over a week and a half span. They beat them on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday a week later. So this was a good one. It was a great end of the game because Hanley Ramirez hit a big RBI, 2 RBI double in the 8th inning to tie the game. Mookie Betts got thrown out at home trying to make it 3. It was actually called safe originally. They reviewed it and it was overturned. But 2 batters later, after Mitch Moreland was intentionally walked, Xander Bogaerts hit an RBI single to take the 4-3 lead and the win. Going back to earlier in the game, this matchup was Eduardo Rodriguez and Chad Kuhl, and they were both really good after the first 2 innings. Andrew McCutcheon had a 2-run homer in the first, and it was like, all right, first inning all over again, here we go. Kind of the theme of the week. But Marco Hernandez got an RBI double in the second to make it 2-1 before Pittsburgh got up 3-1 in the 6th. So they both settled down. Nobody scored for a lot of innings. And then it was 3-1 going into the 8th inning when the magic happened late, which is great to see. Bogaerts had 2 hits. He was the only guy with 2 hits. And Hanley had the 2 RBI. And once again, after Erod, the bullpen, Heath Hembry, 1.2 innings, no runs. Matt Barnes, inning, no runs. Greg Kimbrell, save, no runs. So late offense at an opportune time, and really good bullpen work again.
Yeah, it's really nice to see this bullpen because, as you said, it's kind of been a theme since spring training, really. So many questions and holes, and the questions about even Joe Kelly, kind of John Farrell's trust in him, which kind of seems to be gone away at this point, that he does have trust in him because he's putting him in big situations. It's just, like I said, it's just nice to see this bullpen kind of come together, be what we didn't expect them to be right now, and just to see Kimbrell get those like save after save, and it's just, even though he still watch those people, gives up singles in really low scoring games and tight games, it's still really nice to see them come together and just kind of pleasantly surprise me.
I think 2 things I take from this game. One, Kimbrell. I mean, Kimbrell's obviously had question marks since he got here, and he hasn't been that dominant force. This week he was. Obviously, there's more of that to come. But and 2, Xander Bogaerts didn't start too hot. Obviously, he was gone for a little bit as well, but he's starting to figure it out, I think, as well, and starting to hit consistently. And he got moved up, and he's going to get moved around, whatever it may be in the order. But he's starting to be more consistent again. I think he's going to be a big cog past the first 4 in the lineup if Benintendi stays up there, to really help drive that consistency like we're talking about earlier, like bridging that gap from the top of the lineup where you can kind of guarantee success to the bottom where you're not really sure. He's that middleman, consistently hits 5, maybe 6, and really he's going to find success helping to kind of bridge the gap from the top 4 to the bottom 4. And he started with the 2 hits that game and really helping drive the success to win this game. I know I'm a huge Xander Bogaerts fan. I'm not just preaching it because of that. I think you're starting to see him really kind of come into his own this season already. He's starting to figure it out this year again, and he's starting to have that consistent success, which is good.
Yeah, he's getting more hits, he's getting bigger hits, and he's doing what he's doing when he's on fire, which is line drives to center field, right field. That's when he's sharp, and that was what his hit was to win this game, was a line drive to right field, base hit, which is exactly what they needed. So.
Which is what he was doing in the World Baseball Classic, too.
Right, so he's just extending what he was doing, which is awesome. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, the bullpen's been great. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Kimbrell's not making you sweat. He's not throwing a billion pitches, which we'll obviously get to in the last couple games here because he's pitched in almost every game. So let's move on to the next series, the last series that started on Friday. 4-game wraparound series with the Tampa Bay Rays. And Friday was the ugliest one of those. It was kind of like Wednesday all over again, except not quite as early. This one was Rick Porcello, and he was not good. He was very flat. He gave up 4 home runs, 2-run homer to Shane Peterson in the second, grand slam to Logan Morrison in the third, solo home runs for Brad Miller and Steven Souza Jr. in the fifth. So each Wright and Porcello both gave up 4 home runs apiece in their outings. Porcello lasted a little longer than Wright's 1 1/3 innings. He went 4 1/3 innings, which is his shortest start in a long time. 8 hits, 8 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Just couldn't get his stuff together against the Rays. And before we even get into the rest of this game, I mean, you can crap on Porcello if you want, but this is the first bad start the guy's had in 2 years. I'm not going to say too much about that.
Oh, no, you can't, because, look, everyone's going to have a clunker. I mean, look how good Steven Wright was last year. He came up and threw, I don't even know what to call it, well, for his first start. So, I know what to call it, but I can't call it here. So, look, it's just one of those things where, as much as I was always one to crap on Porcello when he was bad, he's fine now, right? He's a good pitcher. He won the Cy Young for a reason, and as long as it's not going to be 2 or 3 bad starts in a row, the guy deserves a clunker for the first time in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, we knew a bad start was coming from him. We can't expect him to be the Cy Young winner pitcher every single start as much as we want him to be. So to see,
even though he was last year,
exactly. But it's a new year. He's gonna have shaky starts, and we just got to think he was 22-3, 22-4 last year. So if he wants to do that again, that's okay. But he's still gonna lose 4 games, so he's still gonna have 4 not perfect starts. And I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, it's still early in the season. If this is going to be a constant thing, the next 3 or 4 starts, yeah, I'll be worried. But 1 start, not even worried a little bit.
No, and someone did mention too. I mean, it wasn't this bad. It wasn't 8 runs in 4 1/3 innings, but he had a couple of subpar outings in the first month of last year too, and then he just went on an absolute tear from May on. So this is not like out of the ordinary. Like, he wasn't quite this bad last year in the starts, but like, it's bound to happen. You can't be perfect the entire year. And, if you don't have it, you don't have it. And so many outings where he doesn't have it, he still gets 6 or 7 innings and still gives the team a chance to win. So one time he didn't. It's pretty easy to look past unless you're these people who just have no faith in him. Adam Ballou. I didn't say anybody's name there. But he's been preaching for the last 2 years that he's not as good as he was last year, and he's never going to be a good pitcher again, and doesn't really think he's a good pitcher in the first place. And I've seen several people say that, and it drives me nuts because it's like, how long can you give him? I mean, he doesn't have a bad start for 2 years, and he has 1 bad start, and you're like, yep, he's not good, he's terrible, he's an awful pitcher. I knew it all along. It's like, what? It doesn't even make sense to me, and it just drives me insane that people do that. Like, you got to give the guy a pass for a game or 2. He was Cy Young last year. You can't do that every start.
No, you can't. And like I said, you can't expect him to be that. As much as we want him to be, we can't expect him to be that kind of pitcher. And any pitcher out there is going to have bad starts. And it's not that it was all that bad. It just wasn't what we expect.
Like, Pedro had clunkers. All these guys had clunkers when they were here. And I know the name that you didn't drop was Adam, but like, no one, like, Adam doesn't hate Pedro. Like, it's one of those things where it's just because the pitcher has a bad history doesn't mean he's a bad pitcher now. And they deserve to have clunkers if they're pitching the way he was. Now, the way he was when he first got here, he deserved to get crap on because it was an entire summer of just nothing good. But
yeah, it was every game.
It was every game. But now it's he's figured it out. He clearly wasn't feeling 100%, and he won the Cy Young. So now he deserves this. He earned the right to have a start like this.
Yeah, if he has 3 or 4 bad starts, then we could say maybe there's something wrong with his delivery, maybe there's something wrong with his mechanics, but 1 start is just not enough. And he was fine in his first 2 starts. He wasn't fantastic, but he was certainly serviceable enough and kept the team in the game. So look for a strong start from him on his next start. I'm not worried at all. The Red Sox made a little comeback in this game after Porcello put him in the hole. They got up to 10-1 through the top of the 7th inning. Benintendi got the only RBI single. But they made a little comeback at the end. Hanley Ramirez got an RBI single in the 7th to make it 10-2. And then the 9th, they made a little noise. Mookie Betts RBI single, Hanley Ramirez RBI ground out, Xander Bogaerts RBI single. Got within 10-5 and the Rays actually ended up bringing in Alex Colomé, their closer, for the last 2 outs because Austin Pruitt gave up 8 hits and 4 runs in 2 1/3 and was terrible. So they had to bring in their closer with a 10-5 lead, which is kind of pathetic, but it's just a little too much to come back from, kind of just like Wednesday. They were both valiant efforts to make a little comeback bid, but just down way too much to make that comeback. So it happens. I mean, the Red Sox had more hits than the Rays did, so it's not like the offense wasn't there. It's just they just got down too far too quickly.
Yeah, and you think about if they would have come back, like how great those wins would have been, but there still would have been critiques like, oh, they wouldn't have had to fight back so much if they didn't go down so much so early. So, I mean...
Right. That's always the thing with comebacks. Great comeback! Yeah. Why'd you get down so much? It's always the same thing.
You can't enjoy a comeback just because for that reason. Like, oh, they wouldn't have to come back if they weren't down 10-0 in the fourth. Like, shut up, Sally. I'm not here for your attitude.
Sounds like my attitude.
Yeah, right. Too funny. So we'll move on to Saturday, Game 2 of the series, and this one was great because you know who pitched? It was Chris Sale, and he doesn't pitch bad games because he's like Porcello from last year.
He doesn't get run support.
Yeah, nobody scores for him. This guy can't get any run support. All his games are like 1-0 or 2-1, and this was no different. 2-1 Red Sox win. 6 hits for the Sox, 3 hits for the Rays. Chris Sale went 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 12 strikeouts. His ERA is now 1.25 through 3 games. And he finally got his first win because the offense bailed him out right at the last possible second. They scored an RBI ground out from Sandy Leon with the bases loaded in the 7th inning, in Sale's last inning, so it was the last chance for him to get the win. And fortunately, that gave the Sox a 2-1 lead, and that trusty little bullpen, they locked it down. Matt Barnes, 1 inning, no runs. Craig Kimbrell, 1 inning, 2 strikeouts, only 13 pitches. So great pitching in this game. And the offense struggled, which is interesting because Jake Odorizzi left after 1 inning with some hamstring tightness. He lasted 1 inning. Erasmo Ramirez pitched the next 4. The Sox' only other run besides Leon's ground out was a Mitch Moreland solo home run. His first of the season, first with the Red Sox. It was on Erasmo Ramirez's first pitch when he came into the game, relieving Odorizzi. So it looked like the offense was going to be great, but they weren't able to score other than Leon's ground out the whole rest of the game off Ramirez, Hunter, Xavier Cedeno, and Jumbo Diaz. So yeah, 2-1 win. Great pitching, not much offense, but just enough for Sale to get his first win.
And 12 strikeouts. And he's absolutely dominant. Like, there's nothing I don't love about watching Sale pitch. And he's had just strikeout after strikeout, and he's just so calm and poised on the mound. It's almost kind of intimidating just how calm he is. And it's just, I don't know if you guys get the same enjoyment watching him. Just kind of, like, I'm just so intrigued by this guy just because I mean, I just love having him here. I don't know if it just hasn't hit me yet that we have Chris Sale on our roster or what it is, but I'm absolutely loving what he's brought to this team. Bring me more double-digit strikeouts. I love those. Just keep bringing those.
Oh, I think the thing for you, Lauren, is the fact that, and I think for a lot of people, is we heard about the rumors for Chris Sale for so long and never thought it would actually happen. Now it's actually happened. He's here. He's pitching in a Red Sox uniform, not getting run support. And we're just casually talking about it like it was John Lackey back in the day, not getting run support. Like, it's one of those things where we just kind of aren't really thinking about it. But then when you take a step back, it's, oh, crap, Chris Sale's pitching really well for the Red Sox, which is awesome. That being said, if this is a trend and he doesn't get run support most of the year, that's going to be terrible. And it can happen because we saw it happen for that season with Lackey. Almost the whole year just didn't get run support. So luckily he's a pitcher that can pitch out of it. Luckily he got lucky in that one with Sandy getting that RBI ground out single. But it's one of those things where, you know, he's good enough to pitch out of it. He gets the win. He pitched good enough to get 3 wins if he got some run support. So no worries about Chris Sale.
Well, he's so fun to watch because you just know he's going to pitch well, so you just feel confident and you feel comfortable watching the game because you're like, well, you know what he's going to give you, and he does it every time, which is so awesome. But here's the great thing about him. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but I read a quote from him after the game, and he basically, to paraphrase, he said, if I'm going to pitch in these, 1-run, 1-0, 2-1 games all season long, he said, basically he said, I accept the challenge. If I need to do that, I'm going to do that because that's what I need to do. So basically he was saying, I'm not making excuses. If we don't get runs, I'm still going to pitch incredibly well and make us win, even if it's a 2-1 game. Like, I don't care if we don't get runs. I'm still winning that game, 1-0. And he's got that ace mentality where he just does not care. It's just that he's going to do whatever it takes to win the game, and he knows how good he is, and he accepts the challenge if he gets no run support, which is an honorable thing because he's got no run support basically his entire career because he's been on a terrible team. And he comes here, and the exact same thing happens, and he's like, I don't care. I'm still going to win.
I wish David Price would get that kind of mentality.
Who's David Price?
Yeah, seriously. Hey, you never know. Maybe David Price will be the reason why this team is it would be in first or second place and not third.
Goodness, can you imagine that?
Yeah, I doubt it. He'd lose all his games. Well, that's the thing. Like when he didn't pitch well, he's like, "Yeah, I didn't pitch well." Blah, 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 blah. If you do pitch well, you don't have to make an excuse. Like he's not gonna be winning any 1-0, 2-1 games when you're giving up 6 or 7 runs. So pitch better, and then we don't have to hear about you whine.
You realize, and just because I love to do this, you realize the way David Price talks and the way you complain about David Price talking is the same way John Farrell talks about this team when he needs to make excuses.
Yeah, well, I like John Farrell. I don't like David Price.
Yeah, see, there's my point. Yep, okay. Just keep going. Let me just throw that out there. Keep going.
No, it's true. You're right. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But before I move on to the next game here, can we just talk about how awesome Jumbo Diaz is?
I love the name. Just give me Jumbo. Give me more and more of Jumbo Diaz.
I want to be a 278-pound guy named Jumbo. I mean, come on. Let's get real here.
Dream big, Jess. Dream big.
Yes, yeah. You are never going to be anything associated with the name Jumbo ever in your lifetime.
I'm half his size and not a whole lot of Jumbo there, but to be nicknamed Jumbo, his name is Jose, and he's called Jumbo. God, I want to be reborn and called Jumbo. That is so epic.
Jose
Jumbo Jess.
Jumbo.
And I was recapping this game, and I had a thrill saying Jumbo Diaz my recap. That was the greatest thing. So,
a big game from Jumbo Diaz.
Jumbo Diaz. Oh, it's epic. Sorry, I had to get that out because it was just too awesome. When I saw his name, I was like, oh my, Jumbo Diaz. This is great. All right, let's move on to Sunday. Enough of that. This was also a fun game. This was a 7-5 Red Sox win yesterday, and a lot of runs back and forth in this one. It was 3-2 after one inning, so it happened early and often. Brad Miller got a 2 RBI triple and then scored in a pass ball to make it 3-0. And then Mookie Betts hit an RBI double. Mitch Moreland had an RBI single, and it was 3-2. The starters in this game were Drew Pomeranz and Alex Cobb. Neither of them were sharp, but somehow, despite the 5 runs, Pomeranz got 10 strikeouts in just 4 1/3 innings. So very, very strange game for him. 4 1/3, 5 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, 10 Ks. And he was just not sharp, but Cobb wasn't either. He had 5 innings, 11 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, and no strikeouts. So very different there with the 0 and 10 strikeouts. Joe Kelly came in and cleaned up some mess with 2 2/3 scoreless innings. But the offense just kept continuing on. Corey Dickerson got a home run in the 4th to make it 4-2. Pablo Sandoval got another home run. That's all he does. And get out. Home runs and outs. That tied it at 4. And then Tim Beckham, half an inning later, made it 5-4 with a solo home run. But then the Sox scored the late runs, the big runs. Mitch Moreland, RBI, 2 RBI single, 6-5. Christian Vasquez, RBI double an inning later in the 8th, 7-5. So once again, the offense came through at a really important time late, which has been a theme. And the bullpen, Joe Kelly, Matt Barnes, Robbie Scott, Craig Kimbrell, no runs for all of them, just 2 hits over the whole rest of the game after Pomeranz's 4 1/3 innings. So kind of like the rest of the games this week and this season, it's kind of a theme here.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird game for Pomeranz. But 10 strikeouts through 4 1/3 inning, it's one of those weird starts where, he had to get bailed out. But I love seeing Joe Kelly on the mound. I love that Farrell's been going to him. I love that he looks confident out there after the first few games, and I love that he's just bringing the heat. and he's the relief pitcher that we all knew deep down 2 years ago that we knew he could be.
Yeah, it's just it's nice to see him, being successful with it, and this was a good game. I mean, it was obviously a good win for the team when they needed it. Considering they had a rough week last week, and you come in and you build momentum off that win the night before. It's just something where this team needs to start getting consistency, building the momentum early in the week. You lose every other game. It's nice to start build a little bit of momentum here.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think of Pomeranz's start? He obviously didn't pitch well, 5 runs and 4 1/3, but the 10 strikeouts. I mean, did he look as comfortable to you guys as he did in his first start, or was this just good hitting? I mean, what was the problem?
I think he looked a little. I don't think he looked uncomfortable. Because, I mean, he has 10 strikeouts, so I think it's one of those situations where it might have just been some good hitting and did all he could. Obviously, I don't expect him to be like he was in his first start every time, because I just don't think he's that good of a pitcher all the time. But that being said, to get 10 strikeouts still means you had some stuff that night. So I'm not going to get here and completely crap on the guy when he had 10 strikeouts and didn't look obscenely terrible.
Yeah, so that was a good game. Good win to get with some late offense from Mitch Moreland, who's been the man. So we'll move into Monday, looking for 3 straight against the Rays. That was today, and it was a good game. It was another close one, and
President's Day.
Yeah, exactly. Stephen Wright in the mound again, and this one was better. It looked like it wasn't going to be at first, but it turned around. Wright gave up 2 runs in the first inning, just bad like he was in the first start. At the second start, actually, he's been bad in all 3 starts in the first inning. Miller got an RBI single on a ground out, and Steven Souza got an RBI on a ground out too after the bases were loaded. So that was 2-0. But Wright settled in, and he didn't give up any runs from the 2nd to the 6th inning before giving up a run in the 7th. That was an inherited runner. And meanwhile, the Red Sox got back in the game and took the lead. Hanley Ramirez got an RBI single in the first to make it 2-1, and then Andrew Benintendi got a 2 RBI single in the second, and Betts got an RBI single afterwards to make it 4-2. But this all happened because Brad Miller made one of the worst errors you'll see. Routine grounder that would have ended the inning from Marco Hernandez. There was 2 outs, just a guy on first. Routine grounder to second, and Brad Miller took the throw at second and just dropped the ball out of his glove. It was right in his glove. It was a perfect throw, and that would have ended the inning. And instead, the Sox got 3 runs afterwards, and they would never trail after that. So I'm pretty much pinning this entire game on Brad Miller's error.
Yeah, that was bad. I don't think there's any other way to describe it. Like you said, routine ground ball, and it was in his glove.
It was such an easy play.
I don't know how he messed it up. It was just like, whoops, don't know how to baseball right now. But like, it great for us, awful for them. But like, how do you mess that up?
I thought I used baseballing as a verb.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
What I do.
It was just the worst play. You don't see that much in baseball. Usually, at least if they make an error, it's like something that's like you could be like, oh, okay, that was like he could have missed that play, but this was just the easiest play right into his glove. So I don't know what his problem was, but I'll take it. It was great. And the Rays got one back in the 7th on a Steven Souza Jr. RBI single. That was Stephen Wright's run. He gave up a single to start the inning, then taken out. And so the inherited runner scored off of Ben Taylor, but he got the last out of the inning. They didn't score any more runs. Heath Embry and Craig Kimbrell shut down the 8th and 9th innings with 5 strikeouts combined of the 6 hitters. Kimbrell is his 3rd straight save in 3 consecutive days. Looked great in all of them. He's got 6 saves already and 1.29 ERA. So we'll talk about him in a little bit and how he's doing, because he's turning into the pitcher that everyone expected him to be and we were predicting last year, which didn't happen, obviously. So good for the bullpen. Again, Stephen Wright pitched a lot better this game than he did the previous game, and the offense got the runs this time early to get the lead instead of late. So however it takes, 3 straight wins over the Rays, took 3 out of 4, and a nice 5-2 week.
Yeah, I won't complain. 3 out of 4 from the Rays, and like I said, 5-2 week. You can't go wrong there, especially coming off the flu and just kind of getting into the groove. I'll take it.
No, yeah, and I think if anyone's looking at the standings, like I know I teased it earlier, but I think if you're looking at the standings this early, it's kind of crazy considering the Orioles are so hot and the Yankees are in second place according to the standings now, and Red Sox got a sluggish start. This week is more like the team that we are going to be used to seeing, I think, throughout the year. We didn't do predictions last week. We're going to do them this week, and I think you're going to see a lot more optimistic predictions from me and the two of them more than usual with this team, because once health comes back, once everyone's good to go, and as you start to get Carson Smith back, Thornburg back, all these guys start to full-fledged into the year, you're going to see a lot more of these types of weeks rather than a deflated type of week like last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the two losses this week were both horrendous pitching performances to start, where they had no chance in the first place. So anytime they've had any remote chance of not being down like 9-0, 10-0, 8-0, they won every single game. So I'm encouraged by that. We're kind of thinking about co-MVPs this week because two players were really good for the offense in making all those comebacks after being down early. One is Mitch Moreland, who had 8 hits, 4 RBI, 4 doubles, a home run, and 3 runs. And then the other is Andrew Benintendi, who had 12 hits, 5 RBI, 3 doubles, and 5 runs. So both these guys were huge cogs. They both had big hits. You know, Benintendi got the go-ahead runs today. Mitch Moreland got the go-ahead runs on Sunday. So they both had great weeks this week. So different weeks for them, but they were both equally important. So that's why I wanted to give them co-MVPs.
I think both deserve it. One thing I want to just touch on with Benintendi quickly is the fact that, you know, he started off pretty sluggish, had that obviously home run on opening day, but then, you know, he was hitting 1-something, and I know listening to radio around here, people were criticizing him for not being able to hit consistently. Should he be hitting second in the order? Things like that. And then someone brought up, you know, how bad Pedroia was in his first month that he was up here as a Red Sox when he made it to the pros or the majors, and then obviously we saw what Pedroia did that year. Benintendi is turning it around. He's figuring it out. He's consistent at the plate now. He had a great week. This week's huge for him. I think he's now back to what we think he can be, and I think full steam ahead for who he should be, the Rookie of the Year, if he pans out the way he should.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked great this past week, especially, you know, 12 hits. You can't argue against that, and I'll go back to it time and time again. This kid has the plate patience of a saint. I don't know how he doesn't swing at some of the pitches that he doesn't, because I'll start yelling at the TV, like, why didn't you swing at that? And then he goes and proves why he didn't swing at it. But it's just, this kid is going to be something super special, and he's obviously showing that. And Jared, like you said, if he keeps this up, he's going to be Rookie of the Year, hands down.
He's so confident. It's just like he's so comfortable at the plate. He's such discipline, like you said, Lauren. And like it's so funny because, like you said, Jared, he goes from hitting 174 and now he's well over 300. And like after the game today, Garen Austin's like, "How have you done this year?" Some crappy question like she always does. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there with my game." And it's like he's sitting here after getting a 12-hit week, being like, "Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting comfortable. I'm starting to feel better about my game." And it's like most guys who are rookies who are doing that would be like, "Yeah, I'm the best. I'm hitting over 300. I had a great week." And he's just like, "Yeah, I'm getting there." It's like, man, the modesty of this guy.
It's a very Patriot answer to keep it in New England. You know, it's very anyone's going to shower you with praise. They throw you a cookie cutter sideline reporter question, and he's like, "Yeah, you know, I'm doing what I have to do. I feel better, working every day, and I'm doing everything I can to help the team." That's basically what he meant by that answer. I love it. This kid's humble already, and he's the younger kid on the team, and flew through the minors so fast last year. He's starting to show why.
Yeah, I mean, those answers are boring for, you know, fans to hear, and like, oh, he's working hard and he's getting like whatever. But like, that's the kind of poise you want to see because he's not getting wrapped up in himself. He's not getting too high for it. He's just kind of, as Isaiah Thomas says all the time, staying the course. You know, he stays the course of what he's trying to do, what he's trying to accomplish each week. And, you know, the way to do that is to not get too high or too low. And he seems to already be good with that at 22 years old, which is a great sign, even though it's boring.
Yeah, and look, players like him, you want that to be the answer at a young age. When you get to be David Ortiz, when you get to be Manny Ramirez and all these other guys who have personalities and are veterans in the league, go for it. I know if you can handle having a personality and be a veteran and still play well, that's when you start to have that entertainment factor. At this age, keep your head down, keep the blinders on, give your stock answers, and just figure out your game, become popular, and then you can do whatever you want, basically, and take over the game at that point.
Yeah, and another guy that we should mention because flew under the radar because he is so good. But Mookie Betts also had 12 hits this week and brought his average from 150 to 325. So along with Benintendi, they basically had the exact same week where they brought their average about 150 points up. Betts had a 4-hit game, a 3-hit game, a 2-hit game, and he's on fire now too. He didn't necessarily have, he didn't have any home runs, and he didn't have like an insane amount of RBI or anything like that. But he just got a lot of hits and was just in the action, and we expect it. But after missing a little bit of time with the flu, he's right back in it and being one of the best hitters again.
And he also hasn't struck out since September, so let's just put that in perspective.
Crap. That means he's going to strike out at some point this week, as Lauren said.
He'll probably strike out tomorrow. He'll go
People
like,
keep talking about it, and it hasn't happened, so.
No, you know what will happen? He'll strike out in Baltimore when Lauren's in the stands. That's when he's going to strike out.
No, he won't. He'll go
All
3 for 4.
Well, that is just this recap, lengthy but effective as we break it down. Good week, obviously, for the Red Sox at 5-2. Of course, recap and this podcast is brought to you by our friends at SeatGeek Ticketing app, the smartest and easiest way to buy and sell sports and concert tickets. Get a $20 rebate on your first purchase by downloading the free SeatGeek app to your phone. So all you got to do, go to the settings tab and click add a promo code and enter the promo code Garden Report, all one word, and you'll get a $20 rebate. And so SeatGeek will know who sent you. Obviously, help us out. We'll help SeatGeek out and help yourself out by getting cheaper tickets to the games, whether it be Red Sox tickets. Playoffs around here are full force despite tough losses. So check it out. Again, it's the SeatGeek app and enter the Garden Report promo code.
Guess what, guys?
What's up?
I used the SeatGeek promo code for my tickets on Wednesday.
Look at you go. Love it.
So I can tell you firsthand, $20 off. It was awesome. My God. The price I got for those seats with that $20 off was great. So highly recommended.
Where'd you sit?
Super easy to use.
Where'd you sit?
I sat in Bleacher 41, row 16. And with the $20 off, the 2 tickets were $14 each.
Woo!
Love the look at the promo code helping you out. Love that.
It was awesome. And it's so easy to use. So super user-friendly, super good deal. So highly recommended. Go out there and get it.
I bet you were prepping that all week when you realized you used the promo code. You wanted to get that in there. I love it.
Exciting.
It's very, very exciting stuff. So we talked a lot about kind of everything as we broke it down. One thing we didn't touch on and Lauren really wanted to touch on, Brian Johnson, her binky, her boo, is likely to start on Tuesday in place of Eduardo Rodriguez, who's on paternity leave. Congrats to him. Who has a 1.69 ERA and 15 strikeouts in AAA so far. Had anxiety. Looks like it's gone. Brian Johnson, Lauren Campbell, married in 2018, I'm assuming, right? When's the wedding?
Wow, guys, I've only been single for a month. Like, Gary getting married.
No, Brian Johnson's an improvement, right?
No, but I mean, of course I'm so excited because we all know how much I love Brian Johnson, how much I've just been behind this guy since we've started talking about him. And even last week he was hitting the head with the line drive, and he's been hitting the head before. We had facial fractures, a couple years ago. So for him to get hit in the head again is kind of scary, but for him to bounce back in his next start, he strikes out 8. Like, that's my guy. Like you said, Jared, that's my boo. Love this guy. And I really hope if and when he starts on Tuesday, it's not some like crap start where I'm just so disappointed. I really hope he goes like 6 2/3, 7 strikeouts, 2 hits, no runs. You heard it here first.
Yeah, it's exciting. This guy's been through a lot of crap between anxiety, depression issues, getting robbed at gunpoint, and getting hit in the head 2 different times. This guy's been through a lot of stuff for his age, and he pitched his first start in his career in 2015, 3 months short of 2 years ago, and he's back now, and he should be starting tomorrow. So you got to root for this guy. This is exciting for him. It's exciting for fans, people who have followed him for the last couple of years, and all he's been through. So I hope he goes out there and dazzles it because he deserves it with everything he's been through.
And to see him come back and he's been pitching pretty well. And honestly, everyone in the Red Sox nation should be rooting for this guy because this team has zero pitching depth. Like, there's nothing down there to help this team. If anyone else gets hurt, if anyone else really does crap themselves even more, there's no help, right? David Price is the one who's hurt, and there really isn't depth. So everyone used to praise what Brian Johnson could be, what Henry Owens could be, and that panned out horribly. So, like, seeing Brian Johnson come back like this, potentially kind of have this comeback and successfully pitch, who knows? Maybe this start will be a start of something successful for him, and maybe a chance to redeem himself and stay on the big league roster.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Red Sox need it, so
they really do need it.
They do, and he's young. Like, I still feel this guy has so much potential. He's only 26 years old, so he's got that, that young mentality still, where he can still be really, really good and still make a career for himself. I mean, look at Stephen Wright. He wasn't even supposed to be in the majors last year, and look what he did before he got hurt. So I still have a lot of hope for this guy. I still have a lot of confidence in him. And like you said, after all he's been through, I think it's finally his time to shine, and I think it's going to start on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's a perfect time. 26 years old, just one career start, so this is his time to get a start and prove that he can be here. And then, like we just said, if anyone else goes down, if Erod gets hurt again, if Wright gets hurt, if any of them pitch poorly or whatever, then it appears that Brian Johnson's the next guy up, considering he's pitching tomorrow for Erod. So that's a good sign for him, and this is definitely his time because he doesn't want to wait too much longer to get into the big leagues, and he's getting his chance here, so I hope he dazzles.
Yeah, it'd be very nice if he dazzles. I'm hoping he does. We'll obviously keep an eye on that for sure. A lot of Red Sox stuff going on, and we're going to do predictions this week like we promised, so we'll get to that in a minute here. Before we do that, there is some MLB stuff we want to talk to. We talked about a lot of Red Sox stuff, but one thing within the division that is really puzzling to all of us is the Toronto Blue Jays. Right now, they're 2-10. I don't know where this is coming from, guys. They haven't lost too much. I know Encarnacion's gone, but like, what is going on with this team in Toronto? Because they've been the face of this division for the last couple of years. The ones making the playoffs, the guys making the noise north of the border, and now all of a sudden, Orioles in first place. Blue Jays have 2 wins on the season, and I don't know what's going on up there in Canada.
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, like you said, Encarnacion's gone, but I don't want to believe that just you take him out of the equation and they can barely win a game, and I know Bautista being there, maybe he kind of misses his little Boo Bear and misses him being there with him. I don't know. 2-10 is just, it blows my mind. I have no explanation. I could try to pick at this for days, but I don't get it because, like you said, they've been the ones making the noise in Canada. They're one of great teams out there. They're always a good division rival. Now it's just like 2-10, piece of cake.
Who knew they were so dependent on Encarnacion? Which is funny because he hasn't done anything in Cleveland yet. He's playing like crap, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at their stats. I mean, I obviously haven't seen their games, but they are hitting .212 as a team, 27th in the league. They have 34 runs, which is good for good old fat last place. Their ERA is 4.49, which is 23rd in the league, and they've given up 18 home runs, which is 26th in the league. So they're basically at the bottom of the league in every category. But, I mean, clearly the biggest thing is no offense. I mean, 34 runs, .212 average. Nobody's doing anything. I don't know. I don't know why they're so bad. Does Encarnacion really make that much of a difference?
No, and I think, but you said it. I mean, they're on the bottom of almost every category, but they're at the bottom of the thing that made them so successful. They're an offensive team.
Right.
Even when they were winning the division and doing well, it wasn't like their pitching was lights out by any means. It was the offense that was carrying this team and exploding, and the Bautista bat flip in the playoffs and just all that stuff. It was the offense, and they were leading those categories. Now that you're saying that, that's the big reason. That's it. They're just not producing at the plate. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're going to snap out of it. I'm assuming they will. They don't have the roster to stay this bad forever, in my opinion. But right now, they look like they're playing T-ball and still can't even hit the ball.
Well, Batista's hitting 136 with 0 home runs and 1 RBI.
But he wanted to play for the Red Sox, so
I'm glad they kept him.
Seriously,
so he's gonna go off and do that. It's awful.
Yeah, I have no words. I just don't.
They're the worst team in the league. They are, right?
They are the worst team in the league,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it is. To go from one of the top teams to like the worst team in baseball, it's pretty bad. One other thing within the division, Zach Britton is on the DL for the O's with a left forearm stiffness. Bucky Showalter over there said that it was too soon to tell if he'd be back for April 26th. But that being said, does help the Red Sox as the Orioles are in first place. Never a good thing if the O's are losing Britton.
No, I mean, that's a big hit for them. And, hopefully it's nothing. And I know Showalter said...
No, hopefully it's everything. He can stay on the DL for the rest of the... Are you kidding me, Lauren? No, stop that. He can stay on the DL as long as he wants. Get him a pillow, put his arm up, whatever it may be. Give him some ice, give him some fruity drinks, and just make him feel as comfortable as possible on the disabled list.
Well, at least I won't be threatened by him on Saturday when I'm there. So, I mean, that's a plus, right?
It is a very big plus.
About him.
You can just keep delivering him drinks. Bring him some nice fruity frozen alcohol drinks.
I'll do that. I'll get right on that. But it's a big hit for them. It's good for the American League. But I would never wish injury on anyone. But it's kind of like Gary Sanchez and the Yankees. Like, bad for them, good for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad for my fantasy team. I got Britton, so screw that. But Red Sox over fantasy in my book always. So it's good. It's good for the team. I mean, he's the best. I mean, he was the best closer in the league last year, probably the year before too. So I mean, big loss for them. I mean, clearly it doesn't sound like he's going to be out that long, but you never know with those injuries, those pitchers, things can take a lot longer than they expect. So could be big. So definitely something to monitor as they're playing well so far.
Can stay on the DL all he wants. And one thing, speaking of DL, Clay Buchholz got his news, according to Jerry Carabas. He will not have Tommy John surgery. So there's that for Clay Buchholz.
Woo!
But they said, I forget the actual wording. I can look at Jerry Carabas' tweet. Apparently he has inside sources, which I believe. Clay Buchholz will undergo surgery tomorrow to repair tear of flexor pronator mass, not Tommy John, looking about 3 to 5 months. So he won't be out for the year, but he's out for the year. I don't know. He'll probably be out for the year. Let's be real. But he's not having Tommy John, according to Jack Carabas. So I wanted to throw that in because I know you guys would be so happy to hear that.
Of course.
It's definitely reassuring to hear.
Oh, God. Clay Buchholz.
Oh, pish posh with your attitude.
I'll always have it with Clay Buchholz. He's terrible. Okay. Before we get out of here for the week, we didn't do it last week, so for the first time this year, we're going to do some predictions. This week, they have 3 against the Blue Jays, the lovely, lovely Blue Jays, and 3 against the Orioles. Jess, how do you have them faring against those lovely Blue Jays?
I've got winning 2 out of 3. I think that a sweep would put them at 2-13, and that's just too bad for words. So I think they'll squeak 1 out. I mean, they're at home, so I don't know. They're playing so terribly, but and their awful offense against our really good pitching recently, especially the bullpen. Not a good combination, but I think they'll squeak 1 out. Division games are tough sometimes, so I'm going 2 out of 3.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at, too. I mean, they're at home. I feel like they're going to at least get 1 win. I feel like they could get some runs off our pitching or the bullpen or something. But as much as I want to push for the sweep, I don't think it's going to happen.
See, like I said earlier, this year is going to be a new year for me for predictions. And I don't know how I can look at the Blue Jays and take them seriously right now. The Red Sox are going to sweep the Blue Jays. There's no question in my mind because the Red Sox are coming off a good week this week after the whole flu. They're getting their act together. And this team is just so bad right now. And last year I went against myself a lot. My gut wanted to pick the sweep of the A's, and I didn't in those 4-game series last year, and we regretted it. So I learned my lesson last year. I'm going to try to be a little more optimistic this year. They're sweeping the Blue Jays. It's happening. Mark it down. Against the Orioles, not so much. I have them losing 2 out of 3 to the O's because the Orioles are in first place. And I think that without Zach Britton, they're still a pretty good team. So 4-2 overall for me.
I like it. And I'm a 4-2 week as well. I think they're gonna take 2 out of 3 from the Orioles. Mainly, I feel like they're gonna win on Saturday because I'll be there, and I'm just their good luck charm this year. It's proven fact already. So, and kind of the same thing. Orioles are at home. I don't think the Red Sox will sweep them on the road, but one can dream, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Look out for Mookie Betts to have a big series against the Orioles, too. He plays really well at Camden Yards.
Oh, we know. Yeah, I've gotten losing 2 out of 3 to the O's. I don't like it because I want to win every game, and they may. But the O's are playing well. It's a home game, a home series. Their offense is pretty solid, as we saw with the 12 runs. So, they got a good offense. So, I think that they'll win 2 out of 3. It'll be 3-3 week for the Red Sox, which seems like a downer for me. But division games are always tough. They're hard to feel good about. But I'll probably be completely wrong. We're going to go 6-0. It's going to be great. So I'm excited for the 6-0 week.
See, Jess, if you're going to be pessimistic, just stay with it.
No, I can't.
The predictions look like mine from last year, but then you're trying to be like, well, they really won't go 3-3. They're going to go 6-0. No, if you're going to go 3-3, they're going to go 3-3.
Well, it's like my season predictions when I say they're going to lose in the ALCS, and then I proceed to 5 seconds later say, but they're going to win the World Series, so forget what I just said. That's how I roll. I can't pick against my team. I can't do that.
You just did. They're going 3-3. You obviously picked against your team. So
right, 3-3 parentheses 6-0.
Oh, okay, so every week we're just going to put of course 6-0 in parentheses under Jess's recap. So and Jess's predictions. Yep. So never wrong. Right. So Jess will never be wrong. Okay, so that being said, that has been Red Sox Beat here on CLNS Radio. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter at @RedSox_beat. Facebook is Red Sox Beat Podcast. If you're listening to us on iTunes, Stitcher, on demand on the CLNS mobile podcast app, don't forget to download that if you're listening somewhere else. Check that out as well.
Review, and subscribe. Red Sox newsfeed too. It's up and running.
Same thing with this podcast. If you haven't already, share the crap out of both. Considering this website is going all audio for the most part, so support us in that change and definitely share the Red Sox stuff. It's been good so far, by the way. So definitely check. And it's easier than reading an article 40 pages long about the Red Sox game. I can listen to a 2.5-minute brief, which is a lot easier. So check that out at CLNS Radio on Twitter. Facebook is CLNS Fans. We're at Red Sox_beat again. Facebook, just search Red Sox Beat Podcast. Today's show was brought to you by our good friends at SeatGeek. Don't forget the $20 rebate is Garden Report as well as Audible. If you go to audible.com/try now, you get a free audiobook and a free 30-day trial. So thanks to our good friends at Audible for that. Another good week of baseball ahead within the division. Hopefully we sweep the Blue Jays because they're terrible. For Jess Thomas and his fake 6-0 and Lauren Campbell, I am Jared Scally. This has been Red Sox Beat here on CLNS Radio. We'll be back next week. Enjoy the baseball.